Well, community, I'm back to do a recent vinyl finds video, and this is going to be all psych and prog, 70s music. Okay, not jazz. it's going to be jazz free. Well, fuck it. Cue music. I'm gonna start off with a new record, and I know that I've said that I don't buy new music, but this is, to be fair, this is pretty old, because it's Alabaster, and it's unfinished songs. This is a private pressed new record, released in 99 copies. I think they are still available. One of the, I should say, best psych collectors here in Sweden, Jonas. He's in this band, and this is unfinished songs from their project called Alabaster. It's great. It's pop psych, maybe, with a modern touch of pop. So yeah, check it out and sponsor him and them if you like it. The next one is from a very known Swedish psych band called Trägräs och Stenar. This was released in 2016, and it's recordings between 2006 and 16. So it's the old guard and the new. So you have Reine Fiske on here, but you also have Bo Anders Persson and Thomas Mera Gartz, Torbjörn Arbelin, who both Gartz and Arbelin died before this was released, I think. So it's called Tack för kaffet och adjö. No, so long. So thank you for the coffee and so long. It's good. It's not as good as the early recordings and the live takes, but then again, this is something completely different. Not the same band, and they actually decided to change the band name to just Träden after this, and I think that was a fairly smart move. So that was it. No more new records, just used and old shit. The next one is an island record. I had no idea about this, so I just bought it based on the year and the label. So this is Claire Hamill with, I think it's called One House Left Standing, 1971. And I mean, Island Records 1971. This had to be good, and it was. It's a folk record, definitely. It has some prog leanings. John Martin is involved, and so is David Lindley on guitar. And it has some really sweet songs, like the first one, Baseball Blues, which is it's a folkish blues tune. And Like a Child is also very, very good. This is Cheap Heat, in my opinion. If you see it, get it. It reminds me a little bit of Joni Mitchell and Melanie, but all the singer-songwriters from the late 60s reminds me of Joni Mitchell and Melanie. Next one, also like pop psych. Sounds like most from this time period, 1969, maybe a little bit earlier, but the 5-man electrical band, I think they only released this on Pickwick and Capitol. Yeah, it's I mean, it has leanings on towards Beach Boys and other like American bands from mid to late 60s, but with catchy songs. And this is also Cheap Heat. You can get this for next to nothing. And if you're into that sort of psychedelic pop, give it a try. Managed to get a stone cold first press of this one. I've waited to buy these. I don't know why. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. The band, self-titled, second release that they made. One of the best records ever. I mean, there's not a bad moment on this. A Swedish one, Tro, hopp och kaffe, Faith, Hope and Coffee by Per Paulsson. This is a private pressed Swedish sort of gem, I should say. It's a folk record, but it has some political and proggy leanings. It doesn't take itself too seriously. 1974, and it's good, but it's not great. If you find it cheap, I would grab it if I was a Swede. But if you're not from Sweden, just move on. Maybe to this, a little bit south. This is Denmark, and on the Sonnet label. And this was cool. This is Psy, Maya, and Robert, Out of Our Times. I think 1967. Yeah, and this is also a sort of a folky Psych record. Once again, perfect for that time period, and it's a cool one to have coming out of Denmark from this time. All the songs are in English, so if you find it, pick it up. Yeah. I mean, I've been deep into the private pressed stuff, and I've got my hands on some. I mean, I live in Sweden. It's not easy to get American private pressed records over here for the price that they go for in the States. But if you have your contacts. With that being said, this is Daryl Baird, One of Everything, 1979. Yeah, private pressed folk pop record with maybe some slight jazz leanings, and I think I need my private pressed singer-songwriter or folk records to be a little bit more depressing. It's a little bit too up, but there's a fantastic song called Waiting at the Airport. That's a must. The rest of it is okay. There's nothing wrong with the record. It's okay, but I'm searching for that sort of private pressed, super depressing, only release that no one knows. that's what I'm looking for, and I want my country just the same. And this is the third release from John Prine, Sweet Revenge, first US press. I'm getting into John Prine. If you listen to his lyrics, read the lyrics, and it's mind-blowingly good. I have a little bit of a hard time getting into the music and the way it's flowing, but it's good. It's really, really good, and his first record is fantastic. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get the second one. So I have his three first records. It's good. It's really good. This is really good. Yeah. Yes, it is. It's really good. The next one, also a psychedelic sort of classic record that I didn't have in my collection. Now I do. Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn and Jones, limited by the Monkees. German first press. Not in the best condition, but not super bad either. Yeah, it's good. It's maybe it's the best Monkees record that I've heard. I'm not a huge Monkees fan, but this is really, really good. They started to write a little bit of their own material and playing the tunes themselves, get a little bit of more of a liberty to do what they wanted, and I think it shows. It's different than the ones that came before. Monkees. Hey, with the Monkees. People say we muck around. Yes, in this video, this is the stuff I live for. I mean, this is the reason I collect records. To find stuff like this. Have you ever seen this record? Who of you out there, please comment. If you have seen and heard this record, please comment. I had never heard about it until I saw it, researched it a little bit, took it home and played it, and it's fantastic. This is a private pressed, I think a southern US, Massachusetts maybe, record from 1979 by Scott Folsom. He released 3 records in his lifetime, and the last one was, I think, on Columbia, and it looks, on the cover at least, looks like a soft porn glam rock record. This is a folk record with a splash of country all the way through, and this is the stuff. I mean, this is the stuff. I have no idea how many there are pressed. No one does, not even Scott, I think. First side studio material, second side live, a live show. You have a very nice sort of country-esque, high energy song starting it off that is called Ketchikan, something like that. Check it out, it's on YouTube, it's good. But then the masterpiece of this comes on, Can't See Love. And it's a fantastic song. It blew my mind when I heard it. like, how can I've never heard this song before? It's interesting, intriguing, great lyrics, very well. And this is cheap. You can get this in the States for like maybe 10, 15, 20 euro, something like that, or bucks, or whatever you want to say. Okay, the next one. This is fantastic. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see that. That's the Tacoma label, the John Fahey record label. And this is Rabindra. All I See Is You. Comes with it's a gatefold, which I think is just terrific. And the backside. Look at that backside. This is a folk country record. Like a folk country record. And the folk songs on this is fantastic. The country records is so. But I'm not a huge country fan, as you know. So I like the folk stuff better. And that's really, really good. And I don't understand how the production is fantastic. The bass, the drums, the guitar is super crisp. Just listen to The Only One, the second song on the first side. And you understand what I mean. You can sample this on YouTube. Fantastic. But Tacoma, obviously very guitar driven. John Fahey was a fantastic guitar player. Yeah, again, how can it be that I'm 38 years old and I've never heard about this? No one has told me about this. Shame on you. Okay, the next one is an Atlantic record. This is from Boston. If I understood it correctly, there were a movement of like psychedelic garage records coming out of Boston from this time period in the late 60s, early 70s. The Boston sound or something like that. And this is the debut record by the Apple Pie Motherhood Band on Atlantic, as I said. It's like a typical pop psych record, but maybe a little bit more in the sort of leaning against the garage side. I think it's great. There's not a bad song on the entire record, even if the second side, in my opinion, is the best one. But it's great. And I want to venture on and see what else I can find in that sort of boss sound or Boston sound bands. I have already like added maybe 5 or 6 records from the same time period. I think Ultimate Spinach was one of those bands that came out, and Tangerine Zoo maybe. So yeah, super glad to add this to the collection. Great record. Okay, so you think you know about private pressed records. I mean, this is the most private pressed record I think in my entire collection, and I don't know if I'll ever get another one that is more private pressed. I mean, look at that label. That's a private pressed label, isn't it? Seems like it's handwritten on the cover. This is Journey to Jesus by Barbie. Songs by Barbie. It's Bond Records, but they only released this. So, and she has signed, I think, all the copies that I've seen online, because I haven't seen this in a store or anything like that, is signed. Joy and Peace by Barbie. This is a Christian folk record from 1971. Journey to Jesus. And it's just like that. It's original songs written by her in tribute to the mighty Lord. It looks like, in my opinion, and what caught my attention when I saw this is, it looks like a death metal record from Norway, a black metal record or something like that. I mean, what were she thinking? And there's the girl there. There you got it. Looks hand scribbled. It's fantastic. And if you want, it contains a lyrics sheet with all the lyrics and also the chords, so you can strum away on the guitar. I mean, talk about private pressed. I love it. And this is insanely good. I mean, if you see through the sort of all the Jesus and the church stuff, because I'm not a huge fan of that, the melodies, the music, the musicianship, it's so true, it's so authentic. It's the perfect sort of folk record, but it happens to be a Christian one. Great. cheap heat also. I mean, obviously, I bought this from an Italian guy. I have no idea how he could get a copy of this. The only copies I've seen otherwise is from the States. But it's not a expensive record. If you're in Europe, you will pay much more for shipping than for this record. Sample it on YouTube. It's fantastic. Oh Lord, won't you buy me mercy? I've listened to this a couple of times now. I don't know what to think. It's a cool record, but I'm not into the Fugs kind of music and the quirkiness of Zappa, not today at least. So I don't know, but it's a cool record. This is the Holy Modal Rounders, their debut record on Prestige, 1969, first press. It's fiddle and guitar and folk and a lot of humor and heart. Yeah, and they released a bunch of records that I haven't heard the other ones. I've heard this. It's good. It's a cool record. Maybe it's a grower. I don't know. It's going into the collection. That's what I have to say now. Okay, the next one is sort of a folk, progressive folk classic. Windy Days by Open Road. They were the backup band to Donovan's record Open Road, and they went out on tour with Donovan, and he called them Open Road, the Open Road Band or something like that. I don't know the story totally, but they continued on playing like this, went into Morgan Studios in London and recorded this, the only record that they released, and it's fantastic. Produced by Tony Reeves, Tony Reeves, and he was also a producer of Colosseum and Greenslade, I think. So, but you have the folk touch on this, progressive with a folk touch. It's fantastic, and it's pressed on the very small label called Greenwich Gramophone Company, and they only released like 14 records in different formats. I know that the very sought after Samurai record is on there. And when I showed the gatefold to my daughter, I shit you not, she peed a little bit. I can't really imagine a better use of space than putting a goat inside the gatefold. No text, no nothing, just a goat. So when the question rose, what should we do, a single sleeve or a gatefold? And in that case, what should we put inside the gatefold to really, because it's more money, you have to pay more money for it. And they said a goat. Open Road, Windy Days, great. Now I'm going to show my incompetence of geography and history. But I got contacted by a guy who watches my videos called Ilya. Terrific guy, hooked me up on Facebook, and we have chatted a lot since we connected. And I think he's from Serbia. But he asked me if I knew about progressive psychedelic music from Yugoslavia back in the 70s, and I didn't. So he sent me some tips, and I was totally blown away by this record, and I managed to find a second press from the same year it was released, 1979. And okay, so I'm gonna slaughter the name here. It's Igra Stakleni Perli. Self-titled record. And this is the orange labeled version, pressed in 2,000 copies back in 1979. Earlier the same year they released a white labeled version, the first press, released in 1,000 copies. So this is pretty rare, but it's great. This is space rock, psychedelic, like prog music from Yugoslavia back in the day. Reminds me a little bit of the German movement, but definitely with a more spacious and sort of, I won't say symphonic, not on this one, but a more bombastic sort of production than the German ones, if you understand me correctly. The same seller that I got this from also had the second release from the same band. This is a first press of that band, of this record, released in 1980, I think, or yeah, 1980. And this is more of the sort of typical prog rock that we love and know about. Sort of it's still spacey, so it's more space rock than Yes, but it's leaning a little bit against that. If you're interested in this, please check it out, because this is also the stuff that I live for. This is the reason I collect records. Who of you knew about this? Please comment if you knew about this record. I had no idea, and I think that I'm pretty well informed in this sort of world, but there's so much more to explore. This is the reason why I don't listen to new music. Why should I listen to new music when there's so much music left to explore and to find? I mean, this opened up a completely new door for music. The music from Yugoslavia in late 70s, early 80s, I guess, and maybe mid 70s. I have no idea. And later on, when they broke up the country for different, like Serbia and Montenegro, and I don't know. So yeah, thank you so much, Ilya. Talk to you on Messenger. I was so happy when I got this. I was so stoked. This has been on my want list for years and years. The original press, I must say, from 1974, with a different cover and so forth. This is a psychedelic acid folk record in the same vein as all those fantastic acid folk records like Comus or Red Hash, or I mean the sort of like haunting, almost creepy music. I love it. And I'm talking about Oliver and Standing Stone. I managed to find this sort of this, I don't know if it's the second press or third press, the French sort of glued on cover, pressed in 300 records. I think this is from maybe the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Doesn't say on Discogs. I tried to do the research, but mine's number 67 out of 300. And this is fantastic. Check it out. Oliver Standing Stone. Just put it in the search up in YouTube, and it goes. Every other song is psychedelic, creepy, sort of rock, and he's doing everything. It's a one-man show. It's produced by his brother, but it's a one-man show. Everything you hear is produced via instruments or voice or anything by Oliver. And some of the stuff, I have no idea how he's doing it. It's great. So it goes from spacey, psychedelic, freak rock to great sort of standard folk, acid folk tunes. If you are going to check one album out that I've talked about today, this is the one. This is definitely the one. Oliver, Standing Stone. And that's it. If you have questions, stuff like that, just write them down below. I answer every single comment I get. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And I talk to you in my next video.